Hello guys, a lot of people have requested me to do this and I'm finally doing it. I finally have a book review. I'm going to review all the books I've read. Now keep in mind, these are not all the books I've read. I've read a lot more and not all of them are here. These are also not my favorite books, but the books I would recommend you to read because it's quite helpful. Now, before we go through these books, I want to talk about books in general. I currently read fictional books. Before this, I would only read non-fiction. For the past 5 years, I've been reading non-fiction. I've read close to 100 books in non-fiction. But I now eventually came to a point where I realized everything I've read in non-fiction is enough for me. I'm happy with it. Let's move on to fiction. The tipping point was Brian Johnson. Now, Brian Johnson is this guy that talks about immortality. He believes that 2036, 2039, we're going to use tech and AI to eliminate death. And that's quite intriguing to me because almost all philosophies, religious texts, self help books I've read have had death as part of the process. But when you eliminate death, the whole philosophy changes. The way you view love, the way you view the future, the way you view marriage, the way you view money, everything changes when death is eliminated. And this concept really intrigued me and I wanted to delve further into this. Unfortunately, there aren't enough self-help books talking about that. There are only sci-fi books that talk about that. And even in sci-fi, I'm not able to find books sci-fi enough for me. Because when you eliminate death, it's a tricky thing. You don't really eliminate death. You're eliminating death temporarily. If you don't die at 100, you'll probably die at 500. If you don't die at 500, you'll probably die at 10,000. But you will eventually die. Even if you live forever, there is forevers within forevers, infinity within infinities. So this whole concept is tricky. Then we have AI coming around, an entire new generation of intelligence that's better than humans. How will that deal with us being immortals? There's so much to read in that. And so I decided to go to fiction from non-fiction. Now I'll talk about fictional books in the future, probably when my channel hits 10,000 followers. For now, we're going to discuss just self-help books because that's what most of these are. We'll start off with my first favorite book, and that's my own. It's called The Articulate Mind, written by Gurmeet Oberoi. Now, this is the older version of it because it's paperback. I have the updated version, which is a newer version on my website, just yapcapitalist.com. You can check it out there. This book talks about communication. How do you use concept of NLP, hypnosis, communication, empathy, emotional translation to communicate better with people, to communicate better with yourself and influence people to do things for you. That's the whole point of the book I've written. It's amazing and I love it. Then we've got my second most favorite book, honestly my most favorite book, even more than my own book. And I've taken a lot of concepts from this book into this, and that's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This honestly, when I read initially, was a hard read, but over time I read more of it and I fell in love with this book. Also, unfortunately, this book talks a lot about death, the concept of death. The idea is that no matter who you take, the biggest kings in the world, the biggest gods in the world, the biggest civilizations in the world, where are they all? Buried under the floor, burnt in the air, all dead. Then why are you scared to follow your ambitions? Why are you scared to express yourself? Why are you scared to do what you want to do? That's the whole point of this book, but I've dumbed it down for you. If you actually read it, it's amazing. It talks, I just love this book. Any page you take, I open any line. This is a random page, okay? Your children are no more than leaves of trees. Leaves too, these loud voices of loyal praises, these curses from your opponents, the silent blame or mockery, mere leaves. Likewise, those who cuss today of your future fame, all these come around in the season of spring. But then the wind blows them down and the forest puts out others in their stead. All things are short-lived. This is their common lot. But you pursue likes and dislike as if was fixed for eternity. In a little while, you too will close your eyes and soon there will be others mourning the man who buries you. Wonderful! I just mentioned, talks about death. So it talks about people who talk shit to you, abuse you and tell you that you are working towards a future which is not going to exist. You're going to fail. And you care about people who will die anyway, who will be buried, and there are going to be more people who hate you. Even you yourself are working towards a future that you assume to be fixed. Even that future will go away. You're not working for eternity. You're going to die. So why worry about? That's what that line says. And I love this book. Any page you open up, it has something very deep and it motivates me. That's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I personally love Stoicism philosophy quite a lot. As a college kid, I would read a lot of philosophy, and this used to be one of my favorite books. Then you've got Mindset. This was the first book that ever made me realize that I can be an artist. Throughout my life, I always thought I can never be an artist. I never played an instrument. I suck at drawing. My handwritings are bad. I can't paint. I can't do anything artistic. But then this book made me realize artistry, just like any other practice, can be done through practice, can be done something like a skill. You're not born with the skills. This is something you practice onto it. And I practiced. I took out a pen, I started drawing. I did it for 1 month and I got significantly better at drawing. I did this a few years back, so I'm probably bad at it again. But I realized that you can become an artist if you choose to be. Being an artist is not something you're born with, but something that can be trained just like any other skill. This is the book Mindset. I would strongly recommend you all read this. And this is one of my earliest books I ever read. I think, who recommended this to me? I think it was Ranveer Aliabad in his early days of content creation. I think he recommended this, Tools of Titans. I love this book. This was one of my first 2-3 reads that I read. It's a thick book. It is Tim Ferriss, the author, who goes around podcasting with people who are divided into 3 categories: health, wealth, and wisdom. So he podcasts, basically asks questions to the healthiest people in the world, the wealthiest people in the world, and the most wisest people in the world. And he asks them questions like, what would you tell your younger self? What advice do you have? How would you become the healthiest? And here is where I learned about psychedelics. I learned about health. I learned about how to make money. I learned about a lot of wise concept. And this is honestly my most favorite book. All of my books are my favorite. I love meditations. I love this. I love mindset. I love my own book as well. Then we've got Building a Second Brain. This was gifted to me by Abhinav Chikara. I was in his podcast. All of his students got this. I usually don't like getting books gifted, but he's one of those people who is quite competent, so I trust his word. And I read the book and I loved it. It talks about how do you build a second brain. Now, I don't take this book literally, because in this book, it talks about how do you build a digital brain. You document everything, you create a system that becomes a second brain for you. But this concept can be applied on your business as well, can be applied on your partner. The whole concept is simple. You have a brain and you want to come up with a new idea, you depend on your brain. But when you create a system that is a replica of your brain, which has all the memory of it, all the systems of it, it can come up with ideas itself. And this is what AI has now become. ChatGPT can create ideas for me because it understands me really well. You can use the same concept of ChatGPT by creating systems on your notebooks. I do this. Oftentimes I open my notebook where I have documented a lot of things and I go through that and suddenly an idea appears to me. That's because I built a second brain there. So that's the whole point of this, is how do you build a second external brain. It's a wonderful read. And then you've got both of Alex Hormozi's book. I've read all 3 of them. Couldn't find the third one. $100 million money models, $100 million leads. This book, Alex Hormozi's all 3 books are goated. If you're a businessman, I would strongly recommend you spend 2 days and read all of their books, because he's an amazing legend who talks quite a lot about business. And the best part about these books is that it's not complicated. It's explained in very simple words. But what's written in this book can literally be the reason of why you become rich and can make a big difference in your life. So I would strongly recommend you read all 3 books of Alex Hormozi. I currently have 2. I hope you like this video, guys. If you've read these books, do comment below. If you haven't, please do and let me know how it goes. Cheers.